both sides are climbing the escalatory ladder. Perhaps, Indian side has taken down the Pak air bases. In fact, Pakistan has attempted to target key Indian military installations. In fact, Fateh missiles have also been used by Pakistan. The attempt to target Sirsa was thwart by the Indian forces. So
Okay,
lot
Siddharth,
has
we're going to come to
happened.
you
In fact,
as and when that
we are
briefing
also
begins. I want to bring you up to speed if you're joining us at 8:30 this Saturday morning. These are the 5 or 6 big headlines that you need to know. It's been a hot night between India and Pakistan. Multiple locations targeted by Pakistan here in India, and India giving it back in kind. Headline number 1, in Srinagar, in the outskirts, in a place called Lasjan, parts of a Pakistani Air Force jet, wreckage of a Pakistani Air Force jet have been found. These are the pictures of that in the Lasjan area. It's landed, thankfully, in the backyard of a residential complex, and therefore no one has been hurt or injured in the process. Headline number 2, India manages to intercept Pakistani drones. This is from the other side of the Jammu border, on the other side of the international border in Jammu, a place called Narwal. We're given to understand, you can see 2 sets of pictures. One, the intercepts happening on the background of the night sky. These are CCTV images. The intercepts happening in the middle of the sky. And the second set of images are the wreckage. There you go, the smoke and fire out in the fields of Jammu. You can see that happening. That's headline number 2. Headline number 3, we're given to understand a part of a drone. This is wreckage that's been found in the fields of Amritsar. Amritsar over the last couple of nights has been hot. There's been a lot of activity, drone activity. This again seems to be the wreckage of a drone. Yesterday, India did the unprecedented step of calling out Turkey and saying Turkish-made drones were being used by Pakistan on probing missions, on exploratory missions to try and test India's air defenses. Headline number 4, a Pakistani projectile has been found in Lasjan. Like I said, this is believed to be parts or remnants of a downed F-16. There's also confirmation of a dogfight that happened over the skies of Srinagar. 5 missiles, we're given to understand, were fired from the Srinagar military base and then believed to have brought down what is believed to be a Pakistan Air Force jet, the make of which we don't know. Hopefully, we will get some confirmation of that from the Foreign Secretary's briefing in about a couple of hours' time. Headline number 5, a massive bomb-like object. It's about 10 to 12 feet long. It's huge. It's been found in a place called Jamla. It's a village in Pokhran, in the wider Jaisalmer region of Pakistan, of Rajasthan. That, of course, you can see the second image, which shows that massive, almost 10, 12 feet long rocket-like projectile that's been landed there, that's been neutralized there. The Indian Army has neutralized this missile attack in the sky. So this is headline number 5. Headline number 6, Pakistan also targeting civilian areas. In Jammu, there have been, unfortunately, 5 deaths, 5 civilians who have died. In Rajouri, a district collector-level officer has also passed away. Unfortunately, his house was the target of heavy shelling. There's been heavy artillery shelling, both on the line of control as well as on the international border. Pakistani projectiles also hitting a temple, a famous temple in Jammu called the Shambhu Temple. Headline number 7, damaged parts of a drone or something like a drone has been found in Udhampur. This is in the Narsu part of Udhampur district. We don't know further details, but it seems like wreckage from a drone yesterday. Udhampur, of course, is the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Command, and the attempt there was to try and target the Northern Command headquarters as well. Security forces have reached the spot. I also want to show that Shambhu Temple picture. Again, this is wreckage from a projectile of some sort at the Shambhu Temple, a very famous temple in Jammu. Thankfully, again, it landed in the outer perimeter of the temple complex, and therefore there's been no injuries or no one has been hurt. That, of course, again, a famous temple in Jammu. So clearly, the activities have increased between both India and Pakistan in the intervening night between the 9th and 10th of May. Akash is joining us from Jammu, where multiple attempts have happened in civilian pockets as well as the Air Force station, but all of it has been thwarted. Akash, what is the latest that you're hearing from top defense sources?
Right, Zaka, I'm standing in this Rehari colony. First of all, I'll try to give you a sense of what has happened here. There you have forensic teams and, in fact, the police here. This is one civilian property that has got damaged because of the sort of attacks that we have seen in the morning today. And there I am being given this sort of, this is something, a part of possibly a drone or the missile or the projectile that came here. And there you have. There you see, these are the individuals who have handed over this thing to me, and they are saying that this was a part of the sort of damage and in fact the projectile that came here. I have been told that many people who were here in the house got injured. I'll try to talk to them as well as to what actually happened. But before that, I'll try to give you a sense as to what actually happened. There you have the top floor of the house that has got damaged. Multiple cars that have been standing here, in fact, have got the damage. There you have in the close vicinity around 50-meter area, is damaged. We still not, don't know as to if it was a drone or missile. But I'll try to, in fact, talk to the individuals as well. I'll try to talk to them. सर क्या हुआ था यहाँ पे और कितने बजे हुआ बता पाएंगे आप अभी आए हैं यहाँ का कोई है क्या हुआ है यहाँ पर
मिसाइल वगैरह वो रेड नीचे गिरी है छत पे
कितने लोग रहते हैं इस घर में
यहाँ पे ऊपर 4 रहते हैं सेकंड फ्लोर में भी 4 रहते हैं नीचे 6 रहते हैं
तो वो ठीक है अभी
हाँ जी
उनको कोई चोट वगैरह लगी उनको चोट वगैरह नहीं लगी अभी ये फॉरेंसिक्स वगैरह टीम कितने बजे हुआ लगभग कितने बजे कहा
ये 5:50 पे
सुबह 5:50 पे तो किसने देखा कोई मिसाइल वगैरह थी या ड्रोन वगैरह था क्योंकि
लोग सोए हुए थे अचानक से आवाज आई सभी उठे
हाँ जम्मू मेडिकल कॉलेज पास में है हमें बोला जा रहा है कि शायद वहाँ पे टारगेट था कुछ ऐसा कुछ बताया यहाँ पे जो एजेंसीज काम कर रही हैं Alright, Zaka forensics teams are here. Once again, I'll try to give you the visuals of this particular house. This is the house, that has in fact got the damage. I'll show you the, in fact, visuals of the, workers who have been in fact there, the police, Jammu Kashmir police, and also the civil defense staff. Forensics teams are basically checking, the sort of damage and in fact the sort of thing, the projectile that was used. But it is unfortunate that civilian properties are being targeted. Either, it is a failure or it is intentionally being done. In both the cases, Pakistan is exposed because they have been saying that they don't want to escalate. But in this particular case, we have been seeing that how they have been launching attacks. And since last night, late in the evening, we have seen that starting from Jammu, they have been targeting many properties. We have seen the Firozpur area as well, where civilian property was targeted. And here in Jammu as well, we have this civilian property that was on target and in fact that has received sort of damage. Zaka.
All right, Akash, we'll come back to you in just a bit, but we're getting this piece of breaking news. Reuters is reporting, and we want to be very, very responsible and restrained in our reporting. Pakistani Prime Minister, and we can, it's flashing on your screen at the bottom half as well. The Pakistani Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, has called a meeting of the National Command Authority. It is the authority that has overseen the nuclear powers or the nuclear command authority of the Pakistani military. He has called for a meeting of the National Command Authority today on Saturday. The Pakistani military has confirmed this to Reuters after Islamabad launched a major military operation against India in the night between 9th and 10th. The National Command Authority is the top body for civilian as well as military officials that take serious security decisions, including those related to the nuclear arsenal of Pakistan. This could be saber-rattling. I don't think we should fall for this propaganda, but clearly the Pakistanis seem to be ratcheting up. Last night, they're escalating it, going a couple of notches up the escalation ladder. India forced to respond, to retaliate to that. Now, some nuclear saber-rattling as well by the Pakistani Prime Minister. He's called for a meeting of the National Command Authority, which will have the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister, the Defense Minister, and of course, the heads of the armed forces as well, the Chief of Army Staff, Navy and Air Force Staff. Let me go across to Aman Sharma, our political editor. He's joining us live from outside South Block. As we expect that press conference by the Foreign Secretary as well as the individuals, the officers of the Army and the Navy. What's the reading in South Block, Aman? What is the big picture? Because this is a serious escalation that Pakistan has tried in the last 6-7 hours or so.
Well, Zaka, what I'm hearing right now is that top government sources are slamming the IMF bailout to Pakistan last evening. They are clearly saying what has happened since today morning underlines India's objections yesterday to IMF of the possibility of the misuse of the debt financing funds for state-sponsored cross-border strikes, terrorism by Pakistan. India is underlining this again, saying that the IMF bailout was completely mistimed and Pakistan actually was waiting for this money to start its big operation against India. India sources are saying that with billions in the bank, Pakistan is now putting missiles in the air against India. The world community needs to realize this, wake up to it, and what it has done by arming Pakistan again and again with these IMF funds. So I think at this press conference, which we will see at 10:30 a.m., India could raise this point that this IMF bailout is ending up arming Pakistan against India, and especially its terrorist activity and the escalatory ladder that Pakistan is on. See, Zaka, government sources are very, very clear that the original escalation is of April 22nd, with the Pahalgam attack which Pakistan did. India did its offensive on May 7th, 96 hours ago, by doing Operation Sindoor, but only targeting terrorist infrastructure of Pakistan, not targeting any military infrastructure, not targeting the civilian population. The targeting of the military infrastructure, that cycle, Zaka, Indian government sources are saying, has been started by Pakistan. On the morning of May 8th, we saw the first these 300 to 400 drones trying to attack our front air bases, and today morning, with missiles, Pakistan is trying to take out our multiple air bases, Pathankot, Udhampur. All these attacks have been foiled, but Pakistan intention is very clear to take up this escalatory ladder, and they stopped till the IMF payout. They didn't do it. It was more an intel exercise, this drone which were flown. But now, this is the ultimate attack by Pakistan, and India is responding very, very strongly. India has decided that if you will target our military infrastructure, we will take out your military infrastructure as well. And India has targeted Rawalpindi's airbase. This is deep inside Pakistan, Zaka, and this is a big, big message to Pakistan that if Pakistan does not stop here, India will go to any lengths to teach Pakistan a firm lesson. We'll hear more about it at the 10:30 briefing. I think I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think Indian government is very, very upset over this IMF bailout, and is very clearly saying that Pakistan is to blame for this escalation ladder that we are on.
And just very quickly, there was some note or some justification of why India abstained at the IMF meeting yesterday. What's the rationale? What's the reasoning behind that?
Zaka, the government says that basically there is no option to say a no to a vote. You can either abstain or say yes. That has been the convention at the IMF, and IMF has many member countries, but every member country is not like one member, one vote. Your economic strength actually has a larger proportion in the vote there. So there are many questions being asked, Zaka, here also, that, why did the US not come out strongly to block this bailout for the IMF for Pakistan? So a lot of questions are being asked in the Indian security establishment, because India yesterday put up a very, very strong objection to this IMF bailout. India was also preparing for it for the last 2 to 3 days, knowing very well that if Pakistan gets this money, it could, the escalation in fact could climb, and India's fears are only coming true. The world community needs to sit up and realize that, what it has done yesterday, and I think India is going to strongly protest about this at the press conference as well, I believe.
All right, Aman, thanks for that. We'll come back to you at the 10 o'clock press conference, 10:30 press conference. Now, Anand, you have the images of the intercept of the ballistic missile?
This is over the Sirsa skies and what looks to be a portion of the Fateh missile. So this is from Sirsa. It's landed on a field. It was intercepted on the skies of Sirsa. I'm going to check with our team if we can put out the map and also the visuals. We can split it on this wall so that our viewers can understand the map graphics and with these visuals, because it's landed on Sirsa. And why this Sirsa is important? Because this Fateh missile, this ballistic missile, many believe was intended towards the national capital. It was intended towards Delhi. We'll try and show you these visuals and then try and split it here on this wall itself with the map graphics and these pictures, because then you can understand where this is. So if you can just pull this out, put this out, and just the map, because where Sirsa is, we need to understand where Sirsa is. Sirsa and the trajectory of the missile, many believe, was headed towards the national capital. And this is the big portion. This is the big portion. This is the big portion of the back end of the Fateh missile. So you'll see the tail, and that's the tail portion of the Fateh missile. Now you see these are authorities who are already there. The local police is already there, cordoning off, and now they're taking them away. It's being carted away. The portions have been now lifted, put on the back of a big vehicle, a pickup truck, and then they'll be carted. This is the big shot. Now this is the picture. Now look at this. This is the Fateh missile back end. Now if you have seen pictures of Pakistan flaunting the Fateh missile, the rear end of this portion with the wings and this is exactly similar to the design of the Fateh missile, and that's the reason why the ballistic missile launched towards the national capital. That is the level of escalation that Pakistan has triggered. Pakistan has triggered soon after the IMF bailout. So within 15 minutes of the IMF bailout at 12:05 a.m., that's when this was first reported or registered, that the possibility of ballistic missiles being fired towards Bharat. And later in the night, the confirmation coming, this has landed, it's been intercepted. So our air defense systems, the Indian forces air defense systems are capable of thwarting even ballistic missiles. This is the biggest proof of it, and perhaps egg on the face of the Pakistanis at multiple levels. But more importantly, how treacherous Pakistan can be. This missile has landed on a field in Haryana, in Sirsa, and this is where it is. Now have a look at this. This is Sirsa. This is where this missile has landed. Look at the trajectory. Where is the national capital? The trajectory of this missile was towards the national capital. That's what many people are expecting this. We are going to wait for confirmation during the media briefing that this missile, these are portions of the missile. Again, more pictures coming through, more small fragments that after this entire missile was disintegrated, it was demolished, it was intercepted, and fragments have landed all across in Sirsa, in Haryana. And understand this, Sirsa, this is the range, this was the direction. This is the national capital region. So that's the reason why this big question is being asked. Was this ballistic missile, along with a few others that were fired by the Pakistanis, intended not just as military installations, but also perhaps certain portions of the national capital? And if that is something which is confirmed, if it is confirmed in the briefing today, that is serious escalation by the Pakistanis. And more importantly, this has come after the IMF bailout, where they tried to play with a begging bowl saying, help us out. $137 billion overextension of their debt to the world, and they continue to borrow and redirect this money towards acts of war. Clear acts of war, clear acts of military escalation by Pakistan, when Bharat's fight has been only against terror. It was a war on terror, not a war against Pakistan, but the Pak military, the Pak state is backing jihadis, terrorists, jihadi tanzeems, and this is what they are willing to launch ballistic missiles because Bharat has waged a war on terror. Zaka.
A massive escalation, no doubt about it. You had, these swarms of drones, unarmed drones, no explosives there. Then you had explosive-laden drones. Then you had these short-range missiles, and now you have the ballistic missile. This is a medium-range Fatah 2 missile, a range of about 400 kilometers, directed en route to Delhi, and it was intercepted in the skies over Haryana. And those pictures that Anand was showing, quite dramatic, that the manner in which it's been intercepted as well. Of course, India's air defense systems working round the clock into the T. Let me go across to Arun Danta and Arunima, both of whom are joining us. So what's the word in Delhi this Saturday morning, Arun Danta? Clearly, the government is closely following all of these developments. It's been a very hot night. Escalation by Pakistan, India responding for good measure. What is the reading in government this Saturday morning?
That's right, Zaka. Yesterday that was the reason why you saw those, long meetings taking place here. Prime Minister Modi chaired 3-4 important meetings. In fact, the last meeting concluded somewhere around 12 with the Foreign Secretary and the External Affairs Minister S. Jaisalmer. And we were told that, in fact, the RAW Chief and NSA Ajit Doval, IB Chief, they all were present in that meeting. Before that, of course, we saw that the review meeting conducted by Prime Minister Modi with Rajnath Singh, three Tri-Services Chief, NSA, in fact, RAW Chief and IB Chief were present in that. And also, before that, there was a meeting with the veterans and the former chiefs of different forces of the country. And in fact, they were, of course, expecting some sort of misadventure by Pakistan yesterday night, and that's the reason why we saw that India was in fact ready for any sort of action. That's the reason why we saw that how Indian forces have retaliated to Pakistan's drones or the ballistic missiles which they fired. And of course we know that Prime Minister Modi is very closely monitoring the situation. It's been 4 or 5 days since when we are given to understand that Prime Minister Modi has been awake during the night, has been constantly in touch with the NSA Ajit Doval. At this point, I'm outside the residence of Prime Minister Modi. It seems calm at this point, but perhaps the way action election is taking place, you will see flurry of meetings.
I think there will be meetings in the next few hours. Thanks for that, Arun. We'll be in touch with you. Arunima is also joining us, but we got this breaking news. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Let's go to that breaking news. Marco Rubio has now spoken directly to the Pakistan Chief of Army Staff, General Asim Munir. This happened just a few hours ago. This is the first conversation that any international official has had directly with the Pakistani Army Chief. Remember, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia was in Islamabad just last night. He was part of that meeting that was hosted by the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. But this direct call between Marco Rubio and the Chief of Army Staff, General Munir, is an important one. It's the first conversation that an international official has had with General Munir. We'll try and get Siddhant. Siddhant is on the phone line. So Rubio has spoken with the Pakistani NSA, who's also the DGISI, General Malik. But now a direct conversation with General Munir, who, of course, the ball is really in his court. If he stops, then India will stop.
But yes, that's the message. That's exactly the message, Zaka. And in fact, last time around, Marco Rubio spoke to Shehbaz Sharif. But perhaps Marco Rubio also must have realized that Shehbaz Sharif is ineffective and he's just a puppet prime minister. And this is the reason that he is speaking to the real boss of Pakistan, perhaps the mastermind of Pahalgam terror attack, Asim Munir. And in fact, Reuters is reporting, Zaka, that this conversation has taken place. And as we were speaking before also, that US wants both sides to de-escalate. In fact, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt also said that President wants both sides to de-escalate. Perhaps US is also giving efforts in the same direction. This is the second telephonic conversation that Marco Rubio had with the Pakistani side. In fact, last time he spoke to Shehbaz Sharif, that call was really ineffective. Nothing happened after that. So today he decided to speak directly to Asim Munir, the Army General. Perhaps it also reflects upon, and perhaps it's once again established that, who runs the show in Pakistan. And if US wants Pakistan to de-escalate, then US has to speak directly to the Army General, not somebody from the political.
We've got an update from the ADG PI of the Indian Army as well. We'll go to Arunima with this. Basically, the ADG PI putting out a tweet saying Pakistan's blatant escalation with drone strikes and other munitions continues along our western borders. In one such incident today, approximately around 5 a.m., multiple enemy drones were spotted flying over the Khasa Cant, the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar. The hostile drones were instantly engaged and destroyed by our air defense units. So now we're getting to hear of multiple such drone and missile attacks. Arunima, you're in North Block, South Block. Whereabouts are you, and what is the word from government this morning?
Yes, so the Raisina Hills is abuzz with activities. South Block has had called for a press conference at about 5:30, but I think this is the air operation which led them to postponement. And now at 10:30, the Foreign Secretary is likely to brief. What ADGPI has put out is that at about 5 a.m. this morning, there were multiple enemy armed drones that were spotted over the Khasa Cant in Amritsar. The hostile drones were instantly engaged and destroyed. And Pakistan's blatant attempt to violate India's sovereignty and endanger civilians' life is unacceptable. 3 civilians have been killed in what has happened since last night, including one district level official there in Rajouri. And what the Border Security Force has also put out is that while the Jammu Airbase was getting targeted around 9 p.m., 2100 hours last night, there was intense firing at the Jammu stretch of the international border as well. So back-to-back 2 days now, we've seen. Day before yesterday, we saw it in Samba. Yesterday at Jammu, attempts to also carry out infiltration while these air raids are going on. Yesterday, they had shot dead 7 from the Jaish-e-Mohammed module in Samba. Yesterday, also BSF confirming that there was firing at the Jammu sector, and now ADGPI confirming that there were hostile drones over Amritsar as early as this morning 5 a.m. Around the same time, tentatively, we were told there was a dogfight in Srinagar, and for that we're still waiting for the ADGPI and for the Air Command to tell us exactly what is the situation. But definitely things have escalated in the last 24 hours.
All right, I also want to go across to Akash Sharma, who is more on this. So the Army's first official statement this morning, the ADGPI saying there's some hostile drones, a swarm of drones over the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar, and those have been neutralized. Akash, what more are you hearing?
Right. So first of all, two important things in this tweet by the ADGPI. First one, that they are somewhere acknowledging the attack launched towards Amritsar today in the morning that we had also reported, Zaka. And second, that they are saying the message is loud and clear that it cannot be accepted. Armed forces are in fact reacting since morning, and we have been learning, as Arunima pointed out, the dogfight, of course, the air defense, thwarting the attempts and destroying the enemy drones, and also Indian Army destroying the enemy posts. So a number of things are happening, but civilians are somewhere affected, Zaka. I have been mentioning this since morning, that while they are targeting the military infrastructure, they are also possibly targeting and intentionally targeting, civilian properties, and this is the reason why we have the damages like such that I am showing you in the visuals in the backdrop. Zaka, Indian Army and in fact Indian Armed Forces are going to brief us officially in some time from now, where we'll get to know as to what was the sort of action that was taken last night in retaliation. Of course, we know that how their air defense systems at different Air Force stations in Pakistan were targeted and in fact destroyed. But as far as other information is concerned and other inputs are concerned, so we are waiting for that particular brief. I'll once again try to show you the visuals there. There you can see the damage. Zaka, it was it is not in fact confirmed as to what it was. I'm showing you those broken glasses of that particular window there. People are also talking about some sort of projectile and then the splinters. So possibly it can be a kamikaze drone that hit the building and then got destroyed. So we are waiting for the confirmation. Okay. But looking at the damage, it seems there you have the main target was that building. Rajesh ji, if you can show that building was the main target, Zaka, and then okay, I believe CM is there. Yes, CM is there, and I'll try to.
All right, we'll come back to you, Akash, in a moment as you try to go across and see if we can get a soundbite from Omar Abdullah. But the ADGPI's tweet showing these pictures as well. Those are the remnants of the Pakistani drone that was sighted above the Khasa cantonment in Amritsar. Arunima is also there with us. I can see some wheels. I'm not sure what the wheels are. Clearly, it seems to have hit something on the ground. Those are the remnants, the wreckage that you can see from the drones that were sent over the Amritsar cantonment. Arunima, what more do we know?
See, there's also a video that has been tweeted out by the ADGPI handle. I think it is showing how the drone attack, the hostile drone attack,